because, you guys have to know the origin of a lie. You don't know where it came from, and so you don't know where it's going to go. And so when you chase lies, and I have to start this out because I know it's redundant, being that you don't know the source, you never know where the person or the lie is gonna go, and so you'll forever be chasing something that's not true, and that can lead you down the wrong path. That can lead you making the wrong decisions, acting off of emotion, things like that. But also, there's a flip side to a lie, is that a lie can eventually be unchallenged. A lie unchallenged can eventually become the truth, right? And so we've seen that happen amongst a lot of like public figures. I don't even call them celebrities anymore because celebrities you celebrate. We celebrate these people. And a lot of people will call, like Diddy, he's not a celebrity to me, he's a public figure. And because I'm not celebrating anything about Diddy, okay? And so, it's just terms, just like you said, good morning. You're not saying that no more, you're using grand rising. That's cool. Okay. And so you said mourn we aren't mourning. Okay. I got you. All right. So I normally don't try to chase every lie and misconception, just whatever. I know what I signed up for. I'm with all the shits. You understand? My family is with all the shits. My kids is with all the shits. I get it. And so we know what comes with this, and, so it's not about, we're people, my family is embarrassed or anything like that, or my husband is embarrassed. He's been called everything under the sun. Like, it is what it is. But also his wife, this is what his wife does. He produces the show. So you guys have to understand our work dynamic, right? And speaking of work dynamic and marriage dynamic, we're celebrating 18 years today. Oh my God, it's my anniversary. Yes. So my cycle went off just in time. I said, look at God, just showing up on time for you, Shaq. Look at God. He was like, damn. So anyway, yes, we're celebrating 18 years today, July 10th. This is our first anniversary. We're married twice. Both of my kids are by the same man. They have the same daddy. And yeah, like God is so good. God is so good. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. I thought I'd give y'all a little good news before it gets heavy. But to my black women that are here and just women in general, I'm for us, right? I am a black woman, so it is what it is. I'm not a Candace Owens out here. I don't act, I'm not a black woman or a person that lives in a black woman body who's sworn to correct all things that are just misdone in the black community. And I'm going to start with marrying white and making sure that my kids can't fully identify as black. That's a whole nother situation. I'm black. I love being black. So much so I wanted to ensure that I married an African man so that I could be blacker. Right. You know, my kids and their generation, they gonna be able to know where they came from. That's important in the black community because we've been stripped of that. And so being able to get my kids an African last name from their African father, that was strategic for me. Just like how these black men out here go and marry white girls. Strategic. Candace Owens, strategic. So, yeah. Sorry, that's me. All right, so on to the lie. So there was some misinformation put out, and I would rather us not use names, okay? Because I don't want us to get sidetracked. We got 4 shows this week, all right? And we got a lot of content to produce, all right? And so we're gonna be live with 2 shows tomorrow, 2 shows on Friday, because I'm taking off today to spend time with my husband, okay? And yeah, I just, wanted to come on and correct something because my mom called me yesterday, and my mom, she be in the blogs too. She with all the shits. However, there's this stigma in the black community that is it's kind of one of those things like, please don't say that I did this. You can say that I did a lot of shit, but just don't say that I did this. All right. And so for the lie that was put out, and like I said, we don't need to say any names or anything because I want us to stay focused. My mama never smoked crack a day in her life. My mama never smoked crack, and she prided herself on not smoking crack. Everybody around her was smoking crack. It was a very, very dark time coming up in the 80s and the 90s with 3 kids. And that was one of the things that she drilled in our head. Please don't let these niggas get you on crack. Don't smoke that shit. She wouldn't even let us play with other kids whose parents, who she knew, smoked crack. That was such a thing because everybody was on it. Everybody was on it. And, for her to hear that, and it's like, what? And at first, I wasn't sympathetic to my mom because I'm like, you know the rules of this game. Come on now. How do you think Beyonce feels when I talk about Miss Tina? Like, seriously, you can't get mad when people come for you. I know, but I ain't never smoked no motherfucking crack. You already know. Like, it's just that if you understand what black families went through back in time, like smoking crack, that is just say anything, but just don't say that shit. And I'm trying to take a subject that is heavy and make it light. She never smoked no crack. I never said that my mama smoked crack. You guys, if you come to my comedy shows, you know who in my family do, right? So, yeah, you gotta buy a ticket to hear that information. All right, like I said, we're gonna be in Orlando. Then after Orlando, we're gonna be in Boston. Right, that's kind of a slap in the face. Like, don't put that on me. You put a lot of shit on me. Just don't put smoking crack on me. And so what I do want to correct, because a lot of times when I do put stuff out, people do misconstrue things. And I told a story one night when I was crying. And I was very emotional after my October show in Miami. This was my second live show in front of my winos. And to see us pack it out, and it was the beginning of what's happening now. My mom and I had came back together because, mothers and daughters, I got a daughter right now, but that's my baby, right? We had came back together, and to see my mom and me and my whole family there on stage, celebrating everything that we had tried to overcome and changing the generational curse. It was a very emotional time for me. And also, my mom and I had lingering issues because when I was 12 years old, and this is a trigger warning, okay? This is a trigger warning. Trigger. When I was 12 years old, my mom and dad had gone through a bad divorce, okay? It was a lot of abuse in the house on both sides, but my mom's a little woman like me. I'm very little when you see me, and my dad is huge. He's like 6-something. And, so there's really no excuse. But my mama had a mouth on her. She still do. Boy, she would pop that nigga in his kneecaps. And he can't come back for the words. So the only thing he wanted to use was his fist, right? And it's funny, but it's not funny. Domestic violence is not funny. But we do tend to laugh about it because sometimes it be so harsh. That's the only thing we could do to get through it. And I remember, he had left, and then she had got another boyfriend. And it was hard transitioning because she had 3 kids that she had to look after. And my mom had fell into a very deep, deep depression. And a few years prior to that, she had got into a car accident, and she hurt her neck and her back really bad. She had been going through therapy. And then on top of that, like I think right after the car accident, she had slipped and fell in McDonald's on those tile floors, and that added to the back pain. So, back then they couldn't really do anything for back pain but give you like pain meds and stuff. And so one night, because she had access to pain pills, she was so depressed, and she was drinking Seagram 7 and Sprite. And I had happened to get up, and my sisters were asleep, but something told me to wake up that night. I don't know what it was, but something in my spirit, it had to be God, because I would have lost my mom that night. My mom had fell into a deep depression. She was sitting at the table, and when I went to the table, my mom was kind of like, just kind of doing this. And I was like, Mom, hey, what's up? What's up? And she had fell to the floor. So she had took a whole bottle of pills and drank alcohol on top of it. Okay? And that's not crack. That's not crack. I don't even like talking about it because it brings, emotions back up. And you guys know I'm very transparent about the things that I went through. And so that's what my platform is all about. We discuss our lives, we discuss other people's lives, we expose it all. I'm not excluded, right? And me seeing that as 12, and then I'm trying to revive my mom at 12 years old. My sister's asleep in the room, and then her boyfriend's son comes through, and he's drunk. And I'm like, hey, we need to take my mom to the hospital. Something's not right. He's like, no, I'm drunk. And I'm like, we need to take my mom to the hospital. By this time, I'm screaming, I'm belligerent, something's wrong. And I said, if you don't take her, I'm going to take the keys and take her. And he didn't want me driving because it was a brand new car that he was using to pick up bitches with. But he's really down low gay anyway. But he ended up, picking up my mom, taking her to the hospital drunk, left her at the emergency room. My mom was there by herself while they were pumping her stomach and reviving her. And I'm back at the house like, is my mom going to make it? I didn't hear, I didn't see about her. Back then it was kind of like a hush-hush situation. My aunt, who was very instrumental in helping to raise us with my mom, that's what her sisters did. That's why all my aunts and my brothers, my cousins and stuff, we all consider ourselves sisters and brothers because we all lived together very close. And so, my mom, she tried to take her own life. And because of whatever reason, and we never talked about that. It was kind of like she got out, she knew she needed to do something, but she didn't want to stay quite in our hometown where we were from. So she ended up joining the military. She asked us if we wanted to go. My sisters and I, we told her no, because my dad had just gotten out of the military and we were tired of traveling. We were in different high schools and different schools. And so she went on to, join the military to better herself, to get her mental health right. But we never dealt with that issue. And I kind of just went through life thinking that, my mom somehow didn't love me, because why would she want to leave me? She didn't somehow care about my sisters and I. And then on top of that, she joined the military, and that kind of further, and we didn't want to go because we were tired of going, and it was home. Panama City was home to us. And so she went, and that created distance between us. And she bettered her life. She was able to fight that demon, but I don't think she was able to really address that with me, because I was the one that found her in that state. And when I got depressed, this is how generational curses, this is what train your child in the way in which you want your child to go goes. Um, it anytime things got hard in life, I resulted to wanting to kill myself, because that's what I had seen, right? And so I inadvertently learned that when things get hard, this is what you do. And luckily I've never, kind of went through with any of that, but like, that's how I learned that. And how I came to know that was through 10 years of intense therapy. When I first started therapy, I was medicated for a little while, because my mood would be so to the point where, could you imagine me? I've always had a big personality. I could not look people in the eye. I would be like this. You would talk to me and I would look down. Like, I would not look at people in the eye. I'll just be like, okay. Like, that's how, and then I would sleep for days. I would order Chinese food. And, this is when I lived on my own, when I first got on my own, when I was 18, 19. And I didn't realize that it was a problem until I moved out of my aunt's house and had gone through a really bad breakup with my childhood boyfriend. And when you in a room, because when you used to living with people, my cousins, my uncles, my aunts, everybody, my sisters, brothers, everybody, and you go to living by yourself, even though that was a big accomplishment for me. Like, who goes from their aunt house to being able to pay their own rent and living by themselves? But that loneliness and that silence and all the things that my family got my mind off of, just kind of came back to a halt, and those walls just kind of closed in on me, right? And life, I couldn't run from life. I couldn't escape from life because it was just me staring at me. And I remember having enough strength to get some, and I had cut my family off from me. So they couldn't get to me. They didn't know what the fuck was going on. And this happened for about maybe 2 years, maybe 2, 3 years. Yeah. And I remember like finding the courage through the state to get, because, back then, even